Welcome back, everybody, to the Not Everything's Black and White podcast. We're here with a special guest today, Valois. He's running for Emmaus Borough Council. Neil has always been very involved in his community. He used to be a campus police officer. He volunteered in many community projects, and now he's decided to run for an extremely important position. We're excited for you to hear why he decided to do this and the changes he wants to make. So I'll just throw it up to Neil. What motivated you to run for Borough Council and why now? And tell us who Neil is and where you're from and a little more on your background.
All right, so Neil is, I don't like talking third party. So I'm just a husband, a father. My biggest thing is becoming an advocate. I minister to the youth. I've coached in the community. Right now I'm a research analyst for prop firms. I analyze gold and oil energy markets. But like you mentioned, my experience is mostly in law enforcement for years, actually. Pretty much my whole adult life was either private security or a sworn officer in different states, wherever I was. And I decided to run. The popular answer would have been to say it was just because of the tax hike, but I was already debating. I was already involved and I was paying attention. I was mostly trying to find when will be a good time. And seeing the uproar with the tax hike was part of the reason, but it was more just I felt that I could also contribute to Emmaus.
And how much was the tax hike in Emmaus?
26%.
Wow, yeah, which is substantial, and this is one that's personal for me because I work in Emmaus, so I have to deal with the clientele there, and that's one of the things that they've been in an uproar about, amongst other things, right? So that's why I like that you've been involved prior. My favorite thing in politics is people that get involved organically, and the fact that you were attending, right? You were already making your voice heard. Now this is just growing on that, and some of your background really, I think, will be helpful for you. I mean, gold analysis. I kind of want you to touch on that a little bit. Of what you do currently. I think that's super interesting. Not many people will have that foresight or be that insight to be able to do what you do. It's very unique.
So I'm pretty lucky that I get to do that now because of technology and everything. I initially started in currencies. So I don't know if you guys remember that little craze where everybody was trading Forex. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of a little pissed off sometimes. I'm seeing these teenagers. I probably shouldn't say that. But I was getting a little upset.
Authentic. Yeah, we don't. That's our brand. Yeah.
I'm seeing these teenagers, driving around with, all these expensive cars. I'm like, I work hard too, and I'm pretty smart. I think.
So Forex was legit. I remember seeing it years ago online, and I always thought it was like a little scammy, like multi-level marketing kind of deal.
And that's why I shut it down the first time.
Okay.
So ironically, it's I've always been either in finance or in law enforcement, public safety.
Yeah.
So what messed up my mind was when I was 18, I went to a meeting thinking I was going to a Citigroup interview for a job, and I should have known it was a Sunday night. It was a weird part of the Bronx, and I walk in this big presentation. It was for a Primerica meeting.
It's one of those ones where they tell you, make sure you bring a friend with you.
Yes.
Okay.
So
been there.
So I went in there confused, and everyone's looking at me. I'm in the shady part of the Bronx, and I'm driving a BMW, and everyone's looking at me as I'm walking. I was like, this is awkward, but it's an office, so I'll go in.
Yeah.
I walk inside. At some point in the seminar, I get bashed for saying that I wanted to serve the military for 20 years. That was my game plan.
Yeah.
I said, I'm going to go into the military. I had just been rejected at MEPS, and I'm going to find another branch to go into at one point. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to go for 20 years. I'm going to be either a sniper or a Navy SWCC officer because I didn't want to do all the work to be a SEAL, but I wanted to hang out with them. So I don't know if you're familiar with the SWCC, but they're pretty badass.
Yes.
So I figured I'll go in, do my 20 years, and then I'll start a jet ski rental company in Florida. And the presenter...
You had a whole plan.
I was going to say, it's a whole plan.
And the presenter goes, stupid. He was like, how much are you going to make? He introduced me to finance. He introduced me to life insurance, mutual funds.
Okay.
And that's when I got involved. So he kind of made fun of me a little bit for working security, but then I was kind of inspired. Fast forward a few years later, I made good money there, but I was always trying to get back into public safety. I said I'm going to start a security company like my uncle, or I'm going to get back into law enforcement.
So you always had a passion for that.
Yeah.
Some type of community.
Something kept bringing me in. I hated the money. But
I wanted to pay well.
At all. And I just wanted to get back into it. And I figured my bishop always told me either serve your God or serve your country. And obviously I wasn't allowed to go to the military, so I figured that's another way to do it. Fast forward now, back and forth between finance and law enforcement, I get called from a friend of mine from Primerica he remembers when I was I was a lot. They had a leaderboard of people making the most life insurance sales and stuff like that. So I was on a leaderboard for New York a lot.
Wow.
And
which is impressive. I'm assuming the New York market is the top players in the game.
Yeah, I had a sweet spot. It was West Indian nurses. That was my market.
I love it.
And they would all roll over their 401ks with me.
We just gotta shift that to the campaign. We gotta do it. Emmaus market.
It was great. My Dominican market didn't like me too much, but the West Indian market, they fed me good at the appointments. It was great. It was awesome. But I ended up meeting, his name was Rudy, and a great guy. But he said, "Hey, I want to talk to you about the markets." And I sat down with him at this hotel, and the minute I heard currencies and trading, I shut him down.
Yeah.
I said, I'm not interested. That sounds weird. Last I checked, you need a license because I had my Series 6 and 65 and 63. And I was like,
which is very hard to get.
Very.
I'm in the process of trying to do that.
Yeah.
Very difficult.
So I have no idea how I passed it the first time. It says 70. I was like, that's all I needed. I'm good. Thank you. See you later. I got to go. But he explained to me, and I shut it down. A year later, Hurricane Maria happened in Puerto Rico, and he had a big group out there. And he goes, I need someone to help me translate when we're teaching them how to trade. And I said, you know what? I'm helping my people, no problem. So I go over there, and that's essentially what we do. I started taking trips down there with him. As I'm translating from English to Spanish, and I'm seeing some of these people who are trading in their cars because the power, Puerto Rico is known for notoriously the power goes out, just like DR.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And people are, if they can't trade, they'll hop in their car, plug in the charger, and then start trading from their phones.
Yeah.
That's crazy work. Sorry.
Yeah. It's okay.
I actually put on Do Not Disturb. But we went ahead, and as I'm listening to this, I go, this is actually pretty simple. So to answer your question, it's not scammy, but there are scandalous people behind it who,
of course.
I think the best part about it is that you have so much experience, and I think, ironically, all of that experience kind of leads you up to this point. If you're able to navigate that particular field, I think that really is probably downscaling to what you're going to be oversight now. Not that Emmaus definitely needs, I think, a complete remodel in that regard, just based off of the feedback from my clients. But before we segue to that, I kind of want you to touch on your background a little bit. Rocco has the hard-hitting, fact questions. Me, I like to focus on some of the background stuff. So I want you to share. I think anytime I see a black or brown person who is on the Republican side, right? In your case, you're running on a ticket. I like to touch on that because I know it's such a tough space to navigate when you're responding or dealing with family members, or even when you're out on the road campaigning. I want you to kind of share what your experience.
Yeah, how has your family reacted to you? Like respond to you running? Yeah.
How do they feel about it?
Yeah.
So it's funny because for the most part, my family's pretty liberal. There's a few who aren't. And I was very influenced by my uncle Arnaldo that I mentioned before with the Guardian Angels, and he woke me up to stuff that the Hispanic community ignores.
Touch on the Guardian Angel. I don't think all our viewers, to be honest, I knew the name and then I know the hats, but I never connected the two and what they actually are responsible for.
They are pretty badass. They were patrolling the trains in New York City. So you know the movies in the 70s and the 80s where New York City had graffiti everywhere, and people were getting beat up. And this is all before Giuliani cleaned up New York. He was, my uncle was one of the original 13. They were called the Magnificent 13 at the time. And he was out there patrolling, volunteer, by the way, unarmed. They just all trained in martial arts and figured they're going to keep people safe because NYPD wasn't able to do it.
It's incredible.
And they expanded globally. They're huge in Japan. They're in other places. I was working with them at one point I was in San Diego. They had a lot of work done in D.C. But New York is where it started, in the Bronx. And that's what I grew up. As far as community, that was what started it because
you have roots.
He's always been. It seems like he's always been embedded with the community. He always wanted to be a part of to help with the community.
But that very hopefully. But that's amazing, man. That's awesome.
I have a lot of love for those guys, and I appreciate. And my uncle and his late wife, my aunt. They are my heroes, literally. But not just because of what they done, but because they woke me up to why community matters. Because growing up in Washington Heights, I don't know if you're familiar with the Trinitarios. It's a hardcore Dominican gang.
Yeah.
But I lived in Upper Manhattan, but I went to school in the Bronx, so I would have to take the train back to where I live, and these guys kept trying to recruit me. So imagine me being 13, 14, 15, trying to avoid these dudes with machetes, messing with me. And
and
to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And my uncle one day said, not impressed with them. He came to my house and he said, I could pull out 200 guardian angels and show up in front of your house right now and keep you safe if you want. And I believe them because I've seen it.
It's incredible. So, it's like a pull between good and evil.
Yeah. So ever since then, I that's where I was.
Extremely interesting story. Actually,
my focus went. Yeah, I'm very random.
No.
But that's where my
great.
focus was always on community, because I figured if there was so many people with different walks of life who are in the guardian angels, every race imaginable is participating.
It cuts past the narrative. That's the best part about it.
All they want is to make the community better.
A melting pot of a community, especially during that time.
And that's what you're trying to do. That's why you're running for borough council. So it all comes full circle.
So that's who influenced me a lot in my life.
And now, how has your family currently responded to you running?
For a long time, actually, and I can show you text messages.
Because it's tough. It's tough to run if people don't support you. I feel like that's it takes courage to even run in the first place. Yeah. And then if you don't have that full support, it could be tough. So
some of the people I love the most in my family absolutely hate that I'm a conservative, which blows my mind because I was born in New York and my family is Dominican and Puerto Rican. And we are conservative from the jump, or whether they're Catholic or whatever, they are conservative. Yeah. I had a kid at 19. My family was like, "You're gonna have to marry because we don't play that game here." So conservative. So there's a lot of the stuff that we brought up in the
your morals and your principles are conservative.
It's conservative. Right. Yet for some reason we will make the same voting mistakes that were made back home in Puerto Rico. Is there's a two-party system there too. In the Dominican Republic, people already forgot about Trujillo, who was a dictator, and they come here and start voting the exact same way. So that always blew my mind. So my family still really is bothered that I had the audacity to say no. At one point, and I was joking with you guys earlier, at one point I thought I was a liberal because I was in New York.
Oddly enough, I heard this saying a while back and it kind of stuck with me. Everybody's a liberal until they have to start paying taxes.
Yeah. Or until they just start paying attention.
Yeah, or they start paying attention.
That's really what it is.
And there are certain things I guess that still stuck with me where I'm like, I guess we could do it that way, but it hasn't worked. It hasn't been proven to work in so many different ways. But my family has left me on red when I first announced that I'm running. When I first made the Facebook page, I had family members going, "Oh, so real convenient. You want to mention you're Hispanic. Just know all these racist white people aren't gonna like that." I'm like, honestly, the racism I have experienced has only ever been in Pennsylvania. Ironically, I've lived in near DC. I've lived in New York, Jersey, many places.
But you got to overcome it. That's our
But it was never from a white person.
Ironically, right? Isn't it odd how it works?
It was never from one, and the only issues I've had, I've been. Not to be dramatic, but I've been spit on twice while working. And that was only 2 times. It was actually a liberal. It was a purple-haired liberal who said, I'm a racist. And I don't know what to say to my family today. Is that you guys have it all wrong, but you guys raised me to be conservative, but then when it comes to voting,
it's kind of backwards. It seems like they raised you to be, a part of your community, conservative values, but it's a tribal mindset to just vote blue no matter who. It's just the way things are. It's just when generations and generations just continue to vote the same way.
Just how it is. In earlier episodes, we've connected to equivalency of being a Browns fan, right? It's like, what are those guys thinking? They just keep supporting the same team and they just keep getting smoked.
Chill, man. I'm a Bears fan. Chill. Chill.
Go Birds.
Sorry to hear that.
No, Bears gonna be good this year.
I'm a Giants fan. I'm still a little bitter.
Fair enough. I'll let Rocco go back into some of the more hard facts. I apologize. The cultural part sometimes.
No, I think that's
that's what this program is for, right? Is to connect. I really just started this. Some of it was Frank. Frank got me going, and he wanted me to start locally. But to be honest, 3/4 of it is my family and connecting to that, and it's important to me that we continue to bridge the gap. Right, because I think things have been so egregiously handled. And Rocco, his line, I've been using it anytime I get the chance. Is look at the results. And for the Black community, I try not to think there's nefarious things going on with the Democratic Party a lot of times, but my brain almost takes it there. Even to some of the stuff that's going on in Chicago and with the crime, it's like we are always seems on the back end of the ones that get the short end of the stick, and you're supporting the same coach, the same team, and you're getting the same results.
Yeah, we get pandered to.
And then somehow it just gets shifted on to the Republicans, or the conversation gets stomped out because of racism or whatever the case may be, which I think, like at the pod we talk about self-accountability and radical accountability and being accountable for things you control. And I think that just completely pushes that off, and I think that's a lot.
And also common sense. If you're going to continue, you're voting, like I just said, you're voting generations the same way, and everything's only getting worse. The results are always getting worse. Yeah. Bigger government always makes things worse. It's been proven time and time again, and still people have this tribal mindset. Yeah, we'll give you this free, we'll do this for you, we'll do that for you. It's the worst thing you want to hear from government telling you they're going to do something for you. So, so I know the recent tax hike has been a major issue. How do you believe council should respond to the residents' concerns?
I think they need to be more vocal, and I've told them that. And usually the rebuttal I get is that they are one of the few boroughs in general, municipalities that live stream their stuff, which they do. I'll give them that, but they're not very vocal. What Emmaus Council has, they have this strategy. It's the lay low strategy, and it drives me nuts. But it's working for them. Even in the primary, you see the lay low strategy is working for them.
Now talk to me about the lay low strategy, because you're right. It's been. Do you mean the fact that there's been radio silence from them?
Radio silence.
Yeah.
Radio silence.
Even George, we're talking about that.
Yeah. So even when I first moved to Emmaus, the reason why I started paying attention was because I was curious. I'm very nosy, but it's because I care. If I don't care, I promise you, I'm not gonna ask questions. That's just how I am. It drives my wife nuts. She'll be like, "Hey, you spoke to this person?" Yeah. She goes, "Oh, how are you doing?" I was like, I didn't ask, but when I genuinely care, I promise I'm all in. And Emmaus was a little strange to me that I had to dig deep to find a lot of information. It's there, but it's not user friendly to find it on the website.
Yeah.
You go to a Zoom link because there was one meeting I couldn't make it to, and I went to try to find the Zoom link, and it's an expired link.
Yeah.
So
the worst thing that could be is elected officials or even appointed officials that are flighty.
Yeah. So they give a 26% tax hike, and then they can't even get a website link correct.
Yeah. So
sounds like government.
Sounds like.
So, but I will give them this though. The information was out there, but people weren't looking, and that was what made it funny for me. When I went to the meeting where they were going to actually vote on the tax hike, it was standing room only. I promise you, yesterday, I wasn't at yesterday's meeting, but I promise you, yesterday's meeting, there was not standing room. Maybe 10 people, if that, if the Boy Scouts are there for whatever reason.
Yeah.
There's no one's ever there. And then when you log into the Zoom, it's maybe 4 or 5 people. But that was only because one person went on Facebook and blasted it out that this was getting voted on.
And you know what? This is what we talked about. We talked about this with George previously, but we really want to emphasize this. Your local elections are the most important thing. They're more important than national election. I know everyone gets all excited. Yes, yeah, you want to support the president, things of that sort. I get it, okay? Your local elections, he just said there was maybe 10 people there. I mean, come on. Like, you want to complain about all these things in your community, that things aren't better, things aren't affordable,
roads,
tax increase, the roads, all these type of things, but no one shows up. So we're doing this podcast and we're having these type of guests on to give you explanation of what's going on and that you need to get involved. That's what we're trying to do here.
Also with the proper setup so you to be able to participate. Like, I think it's really admirable what you do, and you have some background, an extensive background, but the fact that you started off as a concerned parent and it kind of grew, and the fact that you do attend. So it's like, I hear every day, I'm in the community, I hear probably 5-10 people a day talk about it. I have to cut the checks for it, right, for the tax increases. But I know at the end of those conversations, I ask, well, do you participate or do you know? And everybody just kind of blows it off. So the fact that you're getting involved, I think, is really admirable. And because it takes a lot of courage to,
and I appreciate
to run, especially despite even when you're dealing with the pulling back from your family.
From your own family.
It's like you're walking the line.
I mean, we all been there though.
Yeah.
That's the funny thing. Everyone that's kind of came over to this side of conservatism, I guess you could call it, or even America First. I almost want to call it, like, prioritizing Americans for once. We came over to this side. We all get this crazy backlash from family members. I don't understand it, but it is what it is.
Which is the first thing that caught my attention. I was telling them, like, it's like if it was right, wouldn't you think it'd be so easy for me to wave the blue flag, like, and just walk the road of least resistance?
Yeah, exactly. It'd be a lot easier.
It took me a lot of reach, and I'm doing things like you. I'm looking into, okay, why is this? Why is that? How did we get to this point?
And sorry to cut you off, but that's kind of what kills me. And again, the lay low strategy, and it's kind of dismissive. So people say it's on the council level, parties doesn't really matter. But if you sit there and actually listen, I'm not going to name specific names, but some of these council meetings, I know exactly what some of these council members' agenda is.
Yeah, when they get their ideology from.
Exactly. And there was one meeting that something was brought up that had absolutely zero to do with Emmaus. Not even that it would affect Emmaus in any way, shape, or form. But she started, I messed up. The person started fear mongering immediately, and you catch on to those things. But like you said, people you tell them to get involved and they don't. But then they're upset now that the millage is now 10 as opposed to what it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
They're upset if their landlord raised their rent.
That's
or
what I'm saying. They'll complain nonstop.
Yeah,
They don't know. Are you on the Emmaus Talk of the Town?
Yeah, I am.
Oh man, what a thread!
So
what a thread!
But they'll know for sure about, unfortunately, the guy who was gonna harm himself.
A lot of drama
the day before yesterday. They know all about the person who didn't put their signals.
All about things that are relevant. I mean, that's not irrelevant, but you know what I mean. All about things that are really irrelevant in the grand scheme of things.
Things that are not going to hit you.
Except for things that affect your day to day. These local positions that he's running for, that George is running for, that other candidates we're going to have on that are running for, affect your day to day, every single day. If you have children, even more importantly, they affect your day to day. So, I mean, I don't know what else we could do for you guys. We're trying to give you guys as much information as possible from these candidates to try to get you to finally realize what's going on. I wanted to ask you one thing. What's your long-term vision for Emmaus, particularly when it comes to families, children, and community safety?
So what I want Emmaus to become, if I could be a part of that, whether I'm council or not, but I would much like to have a say in this and represent is, I would love people to graduate Emmaus High School, go to college, and come back and contribute to Emmaus again.
That's what it was for many years.
That's what it should be. That's what every community
that's what it was
should
prior.
be.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's my long-term vision, because I have my boys now.
Right.
And, I have them with me, and they're going to Emmaus High School now. One's in middle school still. And what I want is for them to say, you know what? Dad bought property here. We're going to come back here. We're going to contribute, open a business here. If my kids don't care about being entrepreneurs, you're going to contribute to Emmaus somehow. The problem with Emmaus right now is that people sleep there. They don't work there. They don't do anything other than.
Because, in my opinion, would be because some of the policies. It's tough. Like, you figure if you're a kid getting out of school, or if you're anywhere even in my age bracket, from the 21 to let's say 40 at this point, it could be a tough swing to be able to come back after college, start a family, and be able to absorb some of the bad policy, right, with the tax hikes. And I think there's other things too.
And it is a tough sell, but what I'm realizing is,
but no, your goal is admirable.
And I hope this comes off humble, but I do respect the history of Emmaus. I do respect what's going on. When I've been to some of these meetings before anybody, when I was just sitting in the background, no one knew. I'll hear people complain, these New Yorkers are coming here. And also, what people don't realize, before New York, I was in Virginia, and I started appreciating not being in the city, but being close enough. So, I was close enough to D.C. where if I want to have a city, I work in the city, I come back home, it's quiet, it's peaceful, my kids are safe, good school district. I do like what Emmaus has to offer. I love the park, like I mentioned before. Emmaus Community Park is my favorite. I'm there every week. I was just there yesterday playing with my kids. I'm there getting them ready for the baseball season. I know it's early, but we got to get to that. And what I want is really for people to go graduate and come back and contribute. I want them to love it. Point blank.
And I think that's the bread and butter of Emmaus, if I'd have to say, is the fact that there's so many people that poured back into the community. Me and you were talking about it prior, is the fact that the small businesses, and I see the decline of it, and that Chestnut Strip was just full with small businesses. And it seems like every 3 or 4 years go by, there's another one slowly. I mean, we talked about Boca Chica. That was one of my favorite restaurants.
I'll take that one personally.
And then to see Wawa come in, and then to them to open up, you know what I mean, the door. And for my clients, they tell me about some stuff like the sign tax. I think that's ridiculous. And there's a bunch of other different ones. But I think that, in my opinion, the leadership that's there currently, they've took away the incentives for small businesses to grow there. Yeah. And like I said, me and you talked about it, and you've kind of said that too, is the fact that Emmaus was started by people who came back and poured in the community. There's people that have lived there for it's not a place where 20 years ago people would, you do well, get wealthy, and move away. No, you'd come back and then pour back into the community. Yeah.
And I think people also forget, because you mentioned Wawa, that was not a welcome entry into Emmaus.
Yeah.
But the council still voted on that. But people made it loud and clear they did not want Wawa there.
Yeah, and why do you think they voted for that?
Tax dollars.
Yeah, plain and simple.
Just a nice, easy.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
This is another thing. What exactly, because I feel like a lot of people don't know this, what exactly does the Emmaus Borough Council do? What do they control? What are certain things that they control that you could tell someone, this is what they do, this is what I would be doing?
In a nutshell, just the ordinances and the taxes for the municipality. I mean, there's a little bit more, but those are the main things you'll see. Okay. So, and obviously the parking, so that's part of the ordinances.
Yeah. So, but I will say that the ordinances, we've consolidated
Yeah.
just that, but in Emmaus, man, the ordinances feel like
Yeah.
layers.
How
and
many
layers
people?
and
How many people are
layers.
on the council? How
7.
Seven.
Yeah.
Okay.
So to your point, there is a lot of ordinances, and people don't even know. Like if you have doubts, there's E360. You just put E360 Emmaus, and they'll pull up the ordinances. It's all there.
Like Santa's
Yeah.
list. It is long.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff there, but the council is limited to certain things.
They approve contract. I'm sorry. They approve
Yes.
contracts and
Sorry,
like bids
and-
for the borough.
Yes,
Okay. Yeah.
So the union contracts
Union
and
contracts,
they
right.
approve the bids that are coming in for people, everything. Oh, the
Yeah.
permits.
yeah.
So the council does have a lot that they have to vote on,
Control. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
a lot of people go to these meetings when they do go, and sometimes they assume it has to do with the high school, not realizing that's the school board or
Separate.
yeah, it's
Right,
separate.
It's totally
but
different. Right.
and there's a lot of stuff also that Emmaus every municipality has to abide by as far as county laws go or state laws go. So we could say we want to do a whole bunch of stuff in Emmaus, but then it's like, are they on these guidelines? And that's what the solicitor is there for, to keep us in check, to make
Yeah.
sure we're coloring inside the lines.
One of the things I wanted to go over now, and I'm not sure if you know, if you're familiar with all them. What is the current 7 that are in place? What is their political affiliations?
So it's an even mix. I don't know if you want to name names. I'll
We like
avoid.
that. Yeah, we like that.
We don't
love
care.
it.
It's up to you. If you feel
love it.
comfortable
Yeah.
doing
So,
it, I mean, we
For-
don't care.
I'll just mention the ones running.
Yeah.
Let's say
Yeah.
that.
Let's
Right.
Let's talk about them. Yeah.
So you have Roy Anders, and for disclosure, I like these people as
Yeah, yeah.
people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I've
That's why you're a
talked
good
to them.
guy.
Yeah.
We like that you approach it the way. That
Yeah,
you do.
I do like them, but I disagree with things, so I just want to
course.
emphasize that.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know which one I'm supposed to look at, but
That's
I want to
fine.
emphasize that. Right? So, but Roy Anders, he has been there for 12 years. I know he works for a logistic company. I'm pretty sure he keeps busy, but I don't ever really see him at the events that the borough takes care of. Right?
Thumbs down.
Yeah. You know, and
Well, he probably doesn't care to show if there's 10 people.
And there's he does normally vote along with the other council members, with the exception of he was the only one who voted against the borough manager's
Increase.
salary
Tax increase.
Yeah.
So mention that a little bit. What happened with the borough managers? He got a pay increase.
So
right
everybody,
after
yeah.
the
So
tax
after all
increase.
the cuts were made to try to keep, because the tax hike was actually could have been a lot higher when you really they didn't have a tax hike all throughout COVID, and then they're trying to make up for it.
in one
this
shot.
year,
which
in one
is-
shot.
Oh man.
So you have
I mean,
the borough manager.
25% with 26%.
Yeah.
is outrageous.
So they got rid of the assistant borough manager. They cut a lot of jobs, honestly, and we even got rid of a police officer position, which we need, and they got rid of an ambulance, and he still felt entitled to not entitled, I should say, but he requested a pay. They offered him a pay increase because he was fielding offers from other municipalities that were about to double his income, basically.
So who cares?
Oh man, that's a tough one for me to take in. So I want to
Who
frame
cares?
the audience.
Oh,
So
yeah.
during the same time, right? We love Neil's approach. Neil approaches it from a philosophical perspective, and he tries to think
very
of all
kind
perspective. A very kind way, right?
Yeah.
That's why we need to get Neil in office. But the person who was in charge gave himself a 25% pay increase because he was highly coveted and was potentially having other job offers. And during the same time, Emmaus experienced a 26% increase on property taxes.
Highly coveted. When has he done a better job? How's Emmaus, guys? Have people been there for 10 years or however long that guy's been there? How good of a job has he done?
In an area with
So why would he be highly coveted?
So I will say this, and this is not to defend Shane Pepe. When I first moved to Emmaus, I was taught to dislike him. No, I actually bumped into him at Staples that day, and I told him straight up, I was told not to like you, and I didn't like you. Even after the tax hike, I still didn't like you.
Yeah.
But once I started really realizing and reading and doing the homework, I realized this man's at all the meetings at the state. The same thing I want to do.
Yeah.
He's at the meetings. This man's working late. He's coming in early. So do I still think that pay should have been that high? Absolutely not, because my pay wouldn't have gone up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
Just the timing.
Just the
timing is
timing
like,
of it is.
and exactly, and
Makes
I do,
no sense.
And I do wish Emmaus Council postured a little more, because if you really want to do better for Emmaus and you feel like you served Emmaus well, why would you be so comfortable jumping to Salisbury? That, to me, it if that's what you felt was right for your career, then go ahead and do that. I don't think that was.
Yeah, we all want to leverage opportunities.
Yeah.
It's just in that particular
and he's in
public office. It's like
Yeah.
you gotta be mindful of your audience.
So the justification was, well, they cut a few of the jobs out, so his salary's not really going up, and if anything, he's eating more.
Yeah,
of
but you just increased the property tax by 26%.
Yeah. So to that point,
so how about you cut those jobs that don't do the tax increase then?
Yeah. And I agree with that point.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Instead of
and we like to be reasonable. Like, right? I don't like to frame it like where tax increases aren't a necessity. But I think what bothers me is a lot of times is I see how frivolous the spending is.
Well, can I say something about that?
D-Rock got vitriol about this.
Tax increase, I get it. Sometimes it's needed, but whenever there's a tax increase, does anything ever get better? This is what I want you to ask yourself. Just look at COVID as an example. Just look at the national in the national waves of COVID as an example, right? We were spending $5 trillion a year nationally, I believe, before COVID. Then we started spending $7 trillion after COVID. Did anything get better since COVID? Anything nationally? No, right? So they spent $2 trillion more. They printed $2 trillion more per year, and nothing got better. So when they tell you like, oh, we're going to increase the taxes to do this, does that ever get better? This is what I said earlier. Like, whenever government says, yeah, we're going to create this program, does it really ever get better? And I'm not some like you said, sometimes tax increases are needed. But when we have certain people, incompetent people in charge of a lot of these places, that's why we need people like Neil. That's why we need people like George in these positions. That if there is a tax increase, at least you're going to get some benefit from it.
Yeah, and
that's what we're talking
the name
about.
Of the game. You want the representation, and I think one of the interesting things about you that I like is it lets me know that I'm not ready to run yet, because I like the way you approach it. Sometimes I get upset, but I like that you're solution oriented, and the fact that you have a plan. You did touch on it, but I want you to go in a little more detail. You were speaking about how you want to lobby with the state, right, for some assistance, and you even had some case study on some of the other counties that had similar, or areas that had similar demographics or similar setups, and they were able to do it successfully. So you want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, so right now, terrible timing, I'm blanking on some of the counties, but I know for a fact,
that's okay.
Lycoming,
the idea of it.
Yeah, Lycoming and Lancaster, they're very good at getting state funding. Emmaus has left millions of dollars on the table
just by not asking.
Yeah. And I will say, to be fair, yes, we got some money from the EPA and whatever.
Why do you think you'd be better at that though?
Because I'm not afraid. I don't want to be the expert in anything. I think that's the biggest problem.
Yeah.
Great answer.
The people in the council right now, with the exception of one who I'm a fan of, but he's not very popular with people right now. But because I actually see him, he's the only council member I see at the events. He's the only council member I see at other events vouching for Emmaus. I've bumped into him in Albertus. I've seen him in other places. He's a business owner. Like, he's there, but he's not getting any love for it because he says some things that are crazy sometimes. Or not. It's kind of frowned upon.
Yeah,
but
a non-transparent space sometimes when you speak your mind. But you understand that.
But other than him, and I don't see these guys. They all have to be the expert in whatever it is they're doing.
Yeah.
So, for example, and again, I like Chris Dufresne.
And nobody's expert.
Yeah, and I like Chris Dufresne, but not every star athlete makes a good coach. Chris Dufresne's been on the council for 8 years. He stepped down. When they needed somebody to finish the year remaining of a vacancy, I went to try to get appointed, so it was a public interview. And Chris Dufresne said himself, on January 6th, it's on YouTube, he said, I believe in term limits. Yet here he is, running again. After being appointed, running again. And the logic behind why he was picked is because we have union contracts coming up. He's a CPA expert for 30 years.
Expert.
He's a CPA. He's a CPA expert for 30 years, and I respect that. And that's what I'm saying. That he's probably a star athlete in his field, but that's not translating to the public good, because we wouldn't have been here in this place with the tax hike to begin with.
It's the same thing they do at the national level. You got these people in the seats for decades and decades, and they don't accomplish anything.
Yeah. And same thing with Roy.
The title of an expert gets you in a position, and I love your approach. Like, I think that's really awesome that you said that. The fact that you're like, I'm not an expert, but I'm willing to try. I'm willing to put and I think putting that mindset on already puts you in a good position that you're willing to learn and expand.
Humble.
Yeah, but I also, and I appreciate that, but I feel like it's important to note that when I say I'm not an expert, it's not that I'm not trying to learn.
Of course not.
What I'm saying is I'd rather find the experts and get them to see our vision for Emmaus.
Which is even better, yeah.
And they have an incentive of their own. but it betters Emmaus.
But you guarantee yourself results.
But 8 years, you got one man who's 8 years, 9 now, and wants to go for another 4 with no real results. You got another one that's been on for 12 years, and from what I hear, I could be wrong, but from what I hear, he's barely on events. I haven't seen him at any events. He's not really there. You got, and those are the 2 incumbents who are crushing it with the votes. Then you have Megan Brem, who again we sat outside of a post on when we had to vote, and I had a great conversation with her. I think it's great that even though she's a liberal, her husband's a cop, so I'm like, she understands public safety is important, but she absolutely did great in the primaries. But I'm like, okay, where's the background? She writes grants for Allentown. Is Allentown in a budget surplus? Are they doing great, or are they in? Even when we look at the
results, exactly.
Again, when you want, would you prefer someone with a clean slate and ideas?
Everyone,
or would you want someone who was taught from Allentown? Because these people are complaining about Allentown and New Yorkers coming here, but this is what we're voting for again. The results have not changed.
Everyone calls these people experts, but the experts have literally ruined things for decades. Yeah. It's like, why are you labeled an expert for messing things up? That's your expertise.
And I love.
Like,
I love
Joe Biden's an expert politician. Okay, why? Because he's been in there for 50 years, done nothing. Okay.
Yeah. And I just want to be clear. I love law enforcement. Yeah. I admire the fire department.
We support law enforcement.
Obviously, with my experience in law enforcement, not just because of that, but because of what they've done for me in my life.
Yeah.
And the fire department, same thing. But their contracts are killing Emmaus. So if your experts are not negotiating those contracts right, why are we still tagging them back in?
Right.
All right. That's really the only question I really had for me. And I actually did post it on the Facebook. If you guys help me understand, it's not to sound bitter. I'm generally curious. Do you want change, or do you want to keep voting for your friends?
Yeah. I love it. I love that the fact that your whole campaign is essentially grounded in common sense, results, and what are we doing basically? You know what I mean? Let's open up the conversation to be able to have, and I think that's what's needed. Really,
real quick. What do you think makes you more qualified than your opponents? And have your opponents, have any of them attacked you in the process? And if they haven't, how do you think they will?
I don't think they've attacked, and if they have, not to my face.
You're not aware of it. I don't know if
They, I haven't heard a word from any of the Democrats. They're very quiet.
And it is a ghost campaign, and like I said, it's working for them. It's a strategy I don't understand. I think
it's a Joe Biden in the basement 2020 run.
Hide and just put that D in front of your name, and people flock to it.
But even the other incumbent is actually Republican. The same thing. He's just
not doing anything.
Just cruising and touche. I understand. But do I think it's not that I think I'm a better candidate. I just think I'm gonna work harder. That's all. I think
you care more. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, based on when we spoke and us speaking now and you talking now, I think you genuinely care about making things better for Emmaus, and you care about the community.
It's not notoriety, right? It's not because you're bored.
Right.
But I'm at the age.
Is it a paid position, by the way? Is that a paid position?
If you could say that, but it's not really.
It's like a stipend kind of thing.
It's more of a stipend than anything.
Cover the cost of gas.
And actually, some of the guys on council just donate their.
Because I just want to emphasize that, because I feel like some people would think that you get paid well.
And
that's what I'm saying.
And it's funny because you'll see on Facebook. Well, the borough manager. But people, even on social media, you'll see people going, they're keeping the money for themselves. And I'm like, first of all, I don't know where you get that from, but this is all public information. But and I don't want to disrespect the residents.
I think it's great that you share this, because honestly, some of this, like, I'm still getting into some of the local politics. Like, I know a lot, but that's the kind of question you don't get a chance to ask too many people that. And I thought they were all paid.
Well, and I'll be honest, that kind of did spook me a little bit, because I'm like, damn, I volunteer a lot in a lot of things. And if I'm going to be putting in the time and effort, I kind of want to make sure I'm not going to be short on rent either.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
But I have to, because I knew I was fighting for, to make sure my boys are here. And I just got the move from the Bronx to here. And I wanted to be somewhere where they're going to be good. Yeah. I'm at the age now where I'm already looking for a place to buy. I want to buy a home. Me and my wife had an opportunity to leave Emmaus after our lease was up, and we decided, we tried to feel the place. And there was some nice places, but it's like I just want to stay in Emmaus, and there's something about Emmaus I wish it was like something inspiring I could say, but it's somebody made.
No, I mean, I think
it's keeping me there.
Do the opponents? So you don't feel like, basically, you feel like you're the best candidate because number one, you care and you have a passion, and you're gonna actually try to do things that you basically don't think these people are gonna do.
Basically, yes. But I also feel like I represent, and this is a conversation I had to have with my wife and even my kids before running. I had to tell them, like, this is going to get weird, number one, because you go to school here.
Great way to describe it. As soon as those yard signs starts clicking in, like, oh boy, your neighbors start looking at you funny.
And that did happen. But but I had to really sit there and think, am I going to work harder than them? Point blank. And I thank God that not only am I in the financial markets, but when there's bad months, I have to shift over to the side gig economy, but I can get creative with that. I'm not locked down. If I have to work at night, which I have done, I'll transition from analyzing the gold markets in New York session to London session or Tokyo session. If I have to make compromises and sacrifices for Emmaus, I will, because I'm really doing it for my kids. If I'm being totally honest, I could say here's some inspirations that I want to do it for Emmaus, but it's for my kids.
Yeah.
Again, I'm at the age where I need to have a house. My mom has a bunch of acres outside of the state. I want to do the same for my boys, if they want to stay with me or not.
I think that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful cause, right? Like, some people's why is wrapped up in a bunch of different things. The fact that you essentially want to build the community and be a part of the community and make the community a place that your boys will want to come back to. I think that's good enough. You know?
My wife's a teacher, but she also has her own business. She has a cake pop business, and we want to open our shop in Emmaus, not Allentown.
Can we plug the cake pop real quick?
mamaspopshop.com or on Instagram, Mama's Pop Shop.
All right.
You'll see
that in there.
A beautiful lady there. I'm in one picture. So.
Thank God for the marketing.
So she does a lot of events. She's growing. I'm actually really proud of her. But and they're not like the Starbucks sandpaper tasting cake pops. Yeah. I actually really like them. I'm a big dude, but it wasn't not off the sweets.
I love that. Support the cause.
But dang, I should have brought one. But anyways, next time, it's just
after you win.
I believe I'm gonna work harder. Yeah, that's really is. I believe I'm gonna work harder, and I
believe that too. Honestly,
me too.
I also know that I represent the changing face of Emmaus. People are not realizing that there's a lot more Hispanics in Emmaus than there was.
Correct, yeah.
Was there ever a Hispanic council member in Emmaus? I doubt it. I couldn't find that information. I looked hard. Was there ever a person of color who was represented in Emmaus? I doubt it. I looked hard. I even put it into AI, like, help me, and I couldn't find anything.
Wow.
And I think that's an issue, because a lot of driving down Broad Street, you'll see a few Puerto Rican flags, a few Dominican flags. We're there. So
and I think it's important. I faced a similar fate as being there. We have essentially our whole bank is like black. I'm African American. My coworkers are Dominican, and we have a lady who's from India. Exactly. You go up the size of your shirt. We can tell this out. But the reason why I say that, I think it's important. You're right, with the changing faces of Emmaus and things shifting. I think there could be a little. I think Emmaus people are great people. Some of them just don't have experience, right? When you lived in a community for 40 years and you kind of just seen everybody that looked like you, I think there is a little bit of a shift in that. But I think they're very forthcoming with understanding you and being part of the culture. People ask me questions all the time, right? And having you as a representative of the next wave.
How long have you lived there?
5 years.
I think it's really important.
Yeah, well,
it's even been a shift in the last 5 years. Yeah. I'm starting to slowly notice. So I think that's even more of a reason to have, right, an outside eye on it, but somebody who is vested in the community that maybe looks a little different. That's going to be part of the next wave.
I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful thing.
That's great. And you're running as what everyone thinks that you shouldn't be running as, which is a Republican, right? Yeah. So you're saying there was no Hispanic African American council member ever?
From my experience,
not even Democrat. Not even Democrat.
I've asked long-term residents.
Any of that? No.
Wow.
Yes. Emmaus is a old school Pennsylvania Dutch community. That really kind of started to. I don't want to say integrate. That feels like a negative connotation.
I guarantee if you ran with a D in front of your name, you'd be lauded as.
Oh yeah, you would. I
was actually told to cross-file at one point, and
I'm glad that you
didn't.
It felt weird to me, and I even felt as a hypocrite. So this is a learning experience.
We don't support cross-filing. By the way.
George broke this down for me. I actually didn't even know that was a thing. I think that's like so shady and corrupt. Honestly,
a lot of them just do it to get on. But usually the sad part is it's usually not a whole lot of Republicans shifting to Democrat. It's a lot of Democrats running.
So yes, but I noticed there's also that little, and I'm very honest. Sometimes I say stuff I probably shouldn't, but there was a moment where I thought about it, because a lot of the people who know me, who I was going out to get signatures for, they're like, oh, I can't because I'm a registered Democrat. And I'm like, oh, didn't know that. Sorry. But then they go, oh, just cross-file. Multiple people told me to cross-file because that's the hack. That's the
strategy.
That's the cheat code to get onto the ballot. If you missed it in your party, you're gonna get on in the other one. And I didn't. I chose not to cross-file. But I did make. Hold on, before you might want to take that back though. But I did make a comment on my post where I'm voting. I said, if you still want to write me in, feel free. I just couldn't get myself to cross.
That's different though.
Not. That's completely different.
That's
I think it's courageous to not cross file because, like you said, in those local elections, sometimes I think people get. I don't think it's coming from a bad place. I think some of them just think I have these conservative values. If I just get in the spot,
Listen,
I can get my message across.
On my DMs, I got fried for even saying right.
Really?
I'm sure.
And I'm like, but you're still voting for the people cross-filing.
Yeah, who cares? Yeah, who cares? I don't think that's. I think that's completely different.
Yeah, I got absolutely
honest,
fried.
being transparent is always going to have value.
Yeah, don't listen to those people on your DMs. They're going to hate you no matter what. Trust me, we get that.
Before we wrap it, though, I want to give you an opportunity to let everyone know where they can find all your stuff. So your socials, if there's anything that you want to plug, because we definitely want to support you.
Yeah.
So I'm on Facebook. That's my campaign page. It's on Facebook. It's Neil Valois for Emmaus Borough Council.
Okay.
Real easy.
Give it a spelling on the last name.
Valois.
Okay, Neil.
Yes, and if you follow the talk of the town Emmaus or Emmaus 2.0, you definitely see me post there. I do the recaps.
Facebook,
yeah. So I'll do the recaps of the council meetings that I go to. I could go on the YouTube and recap those. I feel like that's hypocritical. Like if I wasn't there, I'm not gonna do that. So you'll basically see me on those group pages more than anything.
Okay.
In the spirit of me being having a sweet tooth, also the wife. We gotta throw the wife's cake pops in there because we're gonna have to talk about that after. I didn't know about that.
mamaspopshop.com or on Instagram and Facebook, Mama's Pop Shop.
Awesome.
All right.
That's a wrap,
Yep.
folks.
Thanks, guys.
Bam. That was a great session, man.